Hello, I'm Rob Croft, Senior Project Manager at Bohannon Houston. On behalf of the New Mexico Department of Transportation, General Office, and District 6, I want to thank you for visiting the I-40 Milepost 29.7 Drainage and Bridge Improvement Project website today. This project is located on I-40 and New Mexico 118, just to the east of the New Mexico 566 intersection, immediately south of Church Rock. We hope the information presented is useful to you and helps you understand the intent and anticipated schedule of this important project being planned within District 6. We look forward to any questions or comments you may have. Thank you for your interest in the project.
Welcome to the public information meeting for the I-40 Milepost 29.7 Drainage and Bridge Improvements Project, NMDOT Control Number 6101151. My name is Logan Brandenburg with Bohannon Houston, and I am the roadway design lead for this project. This project is a joint effort by the New Mexico Department of Transportation and the United States Department of Transportation's Federal Highway Administration to address needed improvements to the I-40 and New Mexico 118 corridors near milepost 29.7, where the roadways cross the South Fork Puerco River. The purpose of this meeting is to discuss the proposed improvements and construction phasing required to alleviate flooding of the roadways during large storm events. The NMDOT's design consultants for this project is Bohannon Houston, and the Bohannon Houston team includes Pathfinder Environmental, HDR, Horrocks Engineers, and Terracon. First, we will discuss some history, background, and what has led us to the current project. In 2016, NMDOT hired Bohannon Houston to conduct a drainage study along a 7-mile stretch of Interstate 40, including the New Mexico 118 frontage road, also known as Old Route 66. The purpose of this study was to evaluate the cause of ongoing drainage issues within the study area and to provide preferred drainage solutions that were developed through a collaboration of stakeholder outreach, coordination with NMDOT, and preliminary drainage analysis. The study area included Interstate 40 and New Mexico 118 between milepost 29.5, which is near the New Mexico 566 intersection and provides access to the Church Rock community, to milepost 36.5, which is the border of McKinley and Sandoval counties. The study focused on an existing conditions analysis for all major NMDOT drainage structures, such as bridges, concrete box culverts, and large culvert pipes to determine whether they were sized adequately to accommodate design floods and whether they were experiencing clogging issues from sediment buildup. This is a closer view of the study area with the existing analysis results of all major NMDOT drainage structures within the 7-mile stretch. A green dot indicates the major drainage structure is both adequately sized and free of sediment buildup. Yellow dots indicate the major drainage structure is not adequately sized. Yellow dots with an X indicate the major drainage structure is adequately sized but is experiencing clogging due to sediment buildup, and red dots indicate the major drainage structure is not adequately sized and is also clogged. The I-40 Milepost 29.7 Drainage and Bridge Improvements Project that we are here to discuss today is located at the western end of the study area as shown on the screen. Multiple major drainage structures are included within this project area, most of which are undersized and experiencing large amounts of sediment clogging. Now, focusing on the I-40 Milepost 29.7 Drainage and Bridge Improvements Project, shown on the screen is an existing conditions flow depth map. This map illustrates the depth of flows within the project area during the design storm event. The lighter blue colors indicate shallower flow depths, with darker blue colors indicating deeper flow depths. Encircled on the screen are the flows inundating the I-40 and New Mexico 118 corridors, which measure nearly 2 feet of overtopping during the design storm. This presents hazardous conditions for roadway users that are unacceptable, leading to the primary purpose and need of this project, which is to alleviate flooding in the area. Also, under a separate contract, the New Mexico Department of Transportation is conducting a highway corridor study of I-40 from the Arizona state line to the Atrisco Vista interchange in Albuquerque, New Mexico. The study covers 150 miles of I-40 and alternate routes located from milepost 0 to 150. The purpose of the I-40 corridor study is to develop a long-term corridor plan to improve traffic operations and reliability, traveler safety, and the condition of I-40 and associated infrastructure. Because the Milepost 29.7 Drainage and Bridge Improvements Project is located within this study area, it is important that we coordinate closely with the study team to ensure our proposed improvements incorporate the recommendations from the I-40 corridor study. Furthermore, since the I-40 corridor study has a 20-year outlook and the bridges being built with this project are expected to far exceed a 20-year life cycle, it's important that our proposed roadway and bridge improvements are designed to easily accommodate a future widening of the I-40 corridor should it become warranted in the future. And lastly, these proposed improvements will replace aging pavement along Interstate 40 and New Mexico 118 within the project limits. Shown here is a closer view of the project area. In this view, the railway line is shown in yellow and the South Fork Puerco River is shown in cyan, with the arrows pointing in the direction of flow. In this view, I-40 and New Mexico 118 are shown crossing the frame from left to right, and Church Rock is shown at the top, with Fort Wingate shown at the bottom. And here are the locations of the existing structures over the South Fork Puerco River. 2 bridges along I-40 and a concrete box culvert beneath New Mexico 118, also known as Old Route 66. All 3 of these structures will be replaced with this project. To eliminate flooding of the roadways during a large storm, the channel conveying the South Fork Puerco River beneath the roadways needs to be widened significantly. This means the existing bridge structures along I-40 and the existing 3-barrel concrete box culvert beneath New Mexico 118 need to be removed and replaced with a much larger bridge structure while raising the roadway. Shown here are the existing and proposed profiles of New Mexico 118, illustrating the substantial improvements required to eliminate flooding of the roadway. Now looking at the existing cross-section of New Mexico 118, the roadway currently consists of 12-foot driving lanes with virtually no shoulders. Improvements to this cross-section will include the addition of 6-foot outside shoulders while maintaining existing lane widths. As previously mentioned, the existing bridge structures along I-40 eastbound and I-40 westbound will need to be removed and replaced with much larger bridge structures while raising the roadway. Shown here are the existing and proposed profiles of Interstate 40. These new bridges will be consistent in length with the New Mexico 118 bridge to maintain consistency of the drainage channel width. Looking at the existing cross-section of I-40, currently both directions of travel consist of 12-foot driving lanes with inconsistent shoulder widths. Improvements to the corridor will consist of 12-foot inside and outside shoulders and 12-foot driving lanes. This section, known as the 2-lane enhanced section, is consistent with recommendations outlined in the I-40 corridor study and will accommodate widening of I-40 should traffic studies warrant expansion to a 3-lane section in the future. Also consistent with recommendations from the I-40 corridor study are the proposed bridge widths. While the roadway section along I-40 will consist of 2 12-foot driving lanes and 2 12-foot shoulders, the bridges will accommodate 14-foot shoulders. This additional width provides 52 feet of clearance from face of bridge barrier to face of bridge barrier, which is the minimum width allowed to accommodate 4 lanes of traffic on I-40 with traffic control devices, should an incident occur that requires all traffic be diverted onto a single bridge structure. The bridge structure on New Mexico 118 will maintain the proposed roadway width over the drainage channel. Focusing on construction phasing for this project, it is currently proposed that New Mexico 118 be built first. To build New Mexico 118 in the shortest possible time frame, it's proposed that Phase 1 of construction include a closure of New Mexico 118 east of the New Mexico 566 intersection. This will allow all permanent improvements to be built within a time frame anticipated to be 4 to 6 months, including tie-ins to the newly built New Mexico 566 intersection. During this phase, traffic along I-40 will be maintained as usual. This is the only phase of construction that will require a restriction in lane use. All future phases related to construction of I-40 improvements will maintain 2 lanes of traffic in both directions at all times. And completing construction of the proposed improvements along New Mexico 118 will allow for enhanced incident management relief during subsequent phases of construction. Phase 2 of construction will consist of adding detour pavement to the I-40 medians that will be utilized in the future. During Phase 3, New Mexico 118 will be fully opened and operational. Construction of the new I-40 westbound bridge will take place between New Mexico 118 and existing I-40 westbound travel lanes. During this phase, I-40 traffic will continue to be maintained on existing lanes with little to no disruption. Having the construction work zone on the outside of the interstate rather than between opposing lanes of traffic will provide enhanced safety for construction crews and easier access to the work zone. Once the new I-40 westbound bridge and driving lanes are built, westbound traffic will experience some weaving patterns as they utilize the detour pavement previously installed during Phase 2 so that construction crews can build the permanent connections to the existing westbound lanes. During Phase 5 of construction, westbound traffic will be moved to its new permanent lanes, while eastbound traffic is diverted to the existing westbound lanes, utilizing the detour pavement installed during Phase 2. This will allow construction crews to demolish the existing eastbound bridge structure and build the new structure over the channel. Finally, eastbound traffic will be diverted back to the permanent eastbound lanes while the existing westbound lanes and bridge structure are removed. Construction crews will then remove all detour pavement within the project area and the final configuration is achieved. Shown here is a three-dimensional rendering of the final roadway configuration. And here is a closer view of the proposed I-40 bridges with 12-foot driving lanes and 14-foot shoulders. This rendering provides a frame of reference for how the new bridges will be wide enough to accommodate 4 lanes of traffic during emergency scenarios that might require eastbound and westbound lanes be diverted onto a single bridge structure. Zooming out, we can see the approximate limits of construction for each of the 3 roadway segments. Shown on the screen is an expanded view of the project relative to the surrounding area. The cyan line represents the construction limits for the New Mexico 118 roadway. The western limits of this roadway will tie into the newly built intersection with New Mexico 566, and the eastern limits will tie in just west of the existing at-grade railroad crossing, which is shown in yellow. Overall, the New Mexico 118 improvements are expected to be about 2/3 of a mile long. The red line represents the construction limits for the westbound lanes of I-40. This is the longest stretch of improvements at about 1.15 miles due to the offsetting of the westbound lanes, the increase in roadway grades, and the transition lengths necessary to tie back. The green line represents the construction limits for the eastbound lanes of I-40. Because we will be maintaining the existing horizontal geometry of the interstate along this section, the construction limits are shorter than its westbound counterpart. However, due to the increased vertical grade of the roadway, it will still take about 3/4 of a mile to construct the proposed improvements. These lines represent permanent improvements. Temporary traffic controls will also be set up beyond these limits to allow for safe transitions in and out of the work zones. Also, I-40 and New Mexico 118 fall within what is called a perpetual easement, and all proposed improvements will be contained within this easement, so no right-of-way impacts are anticipated with this project. Shown here is an overall map of current and future NMDOT projects within the area. Currently, the New Mexico 566 Bridge Replacement Project, control number 6100671, is under construction. The next project anticipated to start construction in 2025 is the New Mexico 118 Improvements, control number 6101290. These improvements will occur west of the New Mexico 566 intersection. Then anticipated in 2026 is the construction of this project that is the subject of this public meeting recording, control number 6101151. And lastly, NMDOT is anticipating rehab operations of the I-40 bridges over the Fort Wingate Rail Spur, control number 6101500, to begin in 2027. All these projects are being closely coordinated with NMDOT and the various design teams to ensure a cohesive construction schedule and to minimize major disruptions to the traveling public. And as part of the design development, it's a requirement that the NMDOT environmental process be adhered to with this project. This process includes biological and cultural investigations, hazardous materials investigations, public involvement, preparation of the NEPA document, in this case a categorical exclusion, and any permitting required to adhere to the Clean Water Act, sections 404 and 401. Moving forward, our project schedule is to submit preliminary 30% design drawings to NMDOT within the next month. After that, we are targeting summer 2025 to be fully complete with design. This means construction could start as soon as fall 2025. It is expected to last 2 years, leading us into the summer of 2027. And that concludes our presentation of the I-40 milepost 29.7 Drainage and Bridge Improvements Project, NMDOT Control Number 6101151. If you have any questions or comments related to this project, please submit them by June 13th, 2024. We have provided 3 ways to submit your questions and comments. You can send them via mail to Denise Ayton with the project name at 7500 Jefferson Street Northeast, Albuquerque, New Mexico 87109, or you can call in your questions or comments to 505-264-0111. And finally, you can submit your questions and comments via email to outreach@bhinc.com. There is also a project website that can be accessed using the URL shown. This website will provide any necessary project updates during design development. Again, if you have any questions or comments related to this project, please submit them by June 13th, 2024. Thank you.